Chicken parm is one of the ultimate comfort foods. Here's how I make mine. Super easy and super delicious. We're going to start with just some very easy ingredients here, but most importantly, you need some chicken breasts. We're going to try to butterfly these. You can buy thin cut ones already to make your life a little easier here, but they'll be very small. So I like to buy a larger chicken breast and kind of butcher it down to what I need. Pop those out of however they come. I'm going to trim off some of those, bloody spots, fat spots, anything on the chicken that you don't want. And then I'm going to pat it dry. You want it fairly dry to start the process here. Once you do that, I'm going to go through and actually physically cut off the parts I don't want. There's going to be a lot of extra chicken left over here, so you could use it for like making a stock or making, chicken nuggets or something small. But I'm going to try to take this breast and just butterfly it open. These breasts were each a full pound, so once I butterflied them open, they were still sitting a little bit too thick for what I wanted. At that point, I'm going to just kind of take them and chop off a little bit of what I don't want and be left with about half a pound here, I think, of chicken, maybe a little bit more. As you can see, it is still fairly thick, but it'll be much more manageable. It's about half the size that it previously was, and it is definitely thinner, which is exactly what you're looking for, because the next step is to put this in a Ziploc bag. You don't need the Ziploc bag, but it does make this process easier, and we are going to hammer this out. This meat hammer, I think, was $8 on Amazon. I'll link it below, but they're good to have. I'm going to start with the tenderizing side and then flip it over to the flat side. Hit both sides for about 30 seconds to a minute until you get it really nice and paper thin, right where you want it. Here's where I got it. It's maybe an eighth of an inch thick, but its surface area has probably doubled. That's exactly what you're looking for right there. Look at how thin that is. That's absolutely perfect. We're going to take that. We're going to do that to the other breast. We're going to throw this in the fridge while I get the next step ready, which is breading. You're going to do the typical breading here: egg, breadcrumbs, and flour. I'm going to do it a little bit differently, though, which I'll show you in a second, but just get everything kind of spread out. The larger area you have to do this, the better, since these breasts are fairly large. But I'm going to throw a little bit of garlic powder in that flour as well, and then I'm going to individually season the breasts as well. So you don't need to put the salt and pepper in the flour mix. If you have, like that tray that I had there for the breadcrumbs, if you have 3 of those, that'll make your life a lot easier. But here we are just salting and peppering both sides. We're going to run that breast now through the egg first. Normally you do flour first, then egg, then breadcrumb, but I like to double it up. So I'm going to do egg, then flour, back in the egg, and into the breadcrumbs. I find for something like a chicken breast here, especially a nice thin one, it gives you the best coverage of the surface area. You won't have bald spots. It's really nice for something that you're going to fry because the coverage will be the best. But throw that then onto the tray, give it a real nice shake. You want to kind of have the breadcrumbs come up around the edges. You're going to now flip it over and just add breadcrumbs where you see areas that are a little eggy or whatever you need. You're going to pound these in. The amount of egg you have on here is very important to how well the breadcrumbs stick. So if you're seeing areas that they're not, just grab a little bit of egg, maybe brush it on. And that's all you need. You want full coverage. Do this for both of them, and we're going to throw those in the fridge while we make our sauce. I'm not going to show you exactly how I make my sauce step by step. I'm just going to put a time lapse here with some music. If you want to see the full video, I have a link down below to how I make vodka sauce. And now on to the actual cutlet itself. I'm going to use my cast iron carbon steel pan here. We're going to use not olive oil, but any other neutral oil you want to cook with. You're almost deep frying this, very, very shallowy, but you want to at least cover half of that chicken breast. You want one full side and a little bit more covered. Throw that in. You want immediately to see the heat. If some oil comes up on the sides, totally fine, but you don't want this not to cover enough of it. Move it around a little bit, flip it over 1 or 2 times. Each side will take about 1 minute. You can see here where you're getting a little extra browning around the outside. That's totally fine. There's hotter spots in your pan. It's going to happen. That's why I like to just move it, flip it often, and just really know your stove, know your pan, know how it's going to cook. But here we are, second flip. That's looking absolutely beautiful. That's exactly where you want it. Try to not overcook these. They will still need some time in the oven, so just get them crispy, pull them out. I'm going to throw them onto a wire rack here so they could drain off some of that excess oil. You don't need to do this. You can throw it right onto paper towel. That's fine. But now let's actually assemble this for cooking. You could do these in advance too and just reheat them when you're ready for dinner, so you can do a big batch of them. Totally works. But here's the vodka sauce. We're going to pour a little bit of it onto that beautiful breast, fully covered in that breadcrumbs. You can see there's no bald spots. That's exactly what you want. Crispier is better too because the sauce will start to make it a little bit soggy. It's inevitable with these, but now we're going to cover it in a little bit of Peck Romano, then a large amount of your favorite Parm, not Parm, your favorite mozzarella. You could do Parm if you want. Low moisture works great too. It'll melt beautifully. Cover that up, and then we're going to throw it into an oven on broil. This will take about 5 minutes. You just want that cheese to melt and get those nice little brown spots. Right there is exactly what you're looking for. I'm going to let this go for another 30 seconds, but that is exactly the color you're looking for. Pull that out. It's going to be real hot, so just don't place that right onto your wood cutting boards. And then just top that with a little bit of parsley. A little bit of green goes a long way here. Gives it that visual pop, but the flavor is also quite nice. When you're ready to eat it, just plate that up. You can add more sauce on the plate if you want. You can add more cheese. You can do whatever you want. If you want to put this over pasta, that also works. But this is so easy to make. It is a little bit time consuming with the breading and all that, but to get these results, which are better than restaurant quality, took under an hour. Give this a try. You will absolutely love it.